Hello, and welcome to the Mature Living Podcast. I'm Riley Runnells, editor of Mature Living, and each month we will be interviewing someone in the community who is making a difference or has a unique story to tell. This month, our guest is Marlene MacQueen, owner of MacQueen's Apple Orchard. MacQueen Orchards has been owned and operated for over 65 years by Marlene and her husband Robert, after taking it over from Robert's parents, Martha and Hugh. On November 9th, 2013, the MacQueen family unexpectedly lost Robert, and Marlene and her children and grandchildren have made it their mission to keep the orchard running and a happy staple for the community. They have a fully functioning store with bakery items and apple butter and more, as well as self-pick apples for families to go out and pick whatever kind of apple they so choose. MacQueen's Orchard has been a huge part of our community for generations. Welcome to the Mature Living Podcast. I'm here with Marlene MacQueen. Marlene, would you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and about MacQueen's Orchard?
Sure, I would love to. I started working here after I married my husband, and really, in 1954 we graduated. I got married in 1956. Start raising children in 1957. But then after a few years after raising the children, I start helping out in the market with my father-in-law and mother-in-law. And so I just kept it up. And so it's been many years. I'm 87 now, so I'm still at it.
Yeah.
And have a lot to do, a lot of ordering to do, a lot of things to do with the employees. That's about it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, MacQueen's has such a rich history in our community that it's so cool to see that you are still carrying on this tradition and this legacy. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like to marry your husband and come into this business and how that started for you?
Well, it was fine. In fact, when we were going to high school, he'd come over and have to grade apples and stuff, and I'd come over and help him. And it just got so we were high school sweethearts, I guess. And so then actually the orchard started in 1936 with my mother and father-in-law. And it just was maybe 25 acres they had, and that was it. And year after year, we kept buying more acres and more acres till we got up to about 200 acres.
Wow.
Then we had to build cold storages and CA storages to keep the apples in so we could wholesale them. It was different. I mean, I expected, it was kind of fun. I really liked it. So that's why I kept up working, and that's it.
And Martha and Hugh, those are your parents-in-law. So when they started this business, they were more taking the apples to different farmers markets and things, right? So how did they make the decision to kind of expand and welcome people into their space?
Well, they'd sell retail here, that just a few apples at a time. Customers would come in and want a bushel or so, and they'd come out to the market and sell, but it wasn't like this. We didn't have this barn like this then. As we went on, we decided that maybe we wanted to have a regular market, so we had decided later that we wanted to do donuts and pies and increase our business. So my couple of the girls and I went to bakery school and learned the pie business and the donut business and started the bakery here. So, and when my husband decided he didn't want to go to college, he wanted to just stay here and help his dad. And so that's how it all came about. So my children, my two boys, either one of them didn't go to college. They did the same thing. They said they were just going to stay here and work on the farm.
Yeah.
So they kept working on the farm, and they're still here. So they're a big part of the business now. Since my husband passed away, 10 years ago it'll be that he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of took over, and it was really wonderful because I don't know what I would have did without him.
Yeah.
So now they run the business. One of them run the packing house. Another, let's see, it's Bobby runs the packing house. Jeff and Zach does the spraying, the orchard outside, and Spencer does the delivering. He's a grandson. Zach's a grandson. So
it's a huge family business,
yes,
rooted deeply in family. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit more about your children. So you live on the orchard property, correct?
Well, we live across the street,
Across
the street at Gun Road.
Gotcha.
And so it's really, well, I don't know. That used to be my mother and father-in-law's house here on the property, but it got so we thought we'd better not. Nobody wanted in our family because somebody come knocking on the door and want some apples, and so we decided to make that into a gift shop.
Right.
So that's what we did.
So, growing up so close, though, I mean, what was it like raising children in this exciting and whimsical kind of space on this orchard?
Oh, it was great. When we ran Pick Your Own, when we first started Pick Your Own with Peaches, we would take this semi-trailer and go by the orchard, and I'd take the kids and they'd take their coloring books and stuff and hang out in the trailer while I was waiting on customers. So it was different. I mean, they learned a lot by just being here.
So your children, because they are so heavily involved in the business, and your grandchildren, do they always want to be involved in the business, or did it kind of grow on them over time?
Well, I don't know. After they got out of school, they just decided this is what they wanted to do, and that was it, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So the grandchildren, the boys start working with their father.
Right. And tell me a little bit about what it was like for you to keep growing this business and expanding this business with your husband.
Well, it was a lot of decisions there were, and so I just listened to what he said because he was into it. He was president of the Hort Society at one time, and so he learned a lot by going to this meetings. So we just decided this is what we were going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for everybody who loves MacQueen's like we do at Mature Living, it's been really inspiring to watch you and your family continue to keep MacQueen's running after the unexpected loss of your husband. So as we're approaching the 10-year anniversary this November, can you reflect a little bit about how you and your family have persevered through your grief to keep MacQueen's running and such a happy place for people to visit?
Well, you know, it was hard, and I knew I didn't want to stay home and do nothing because it just made you think more. But when we came here at the orchard, the kids just were so great about taking over and said, you know, all the things that he did and what I did, they helped out. My daughter ended up taking over in the office, so she does all the payroll and everything. And my other daughter was a school teacher, and she on the weekends would come here and help with Pick Your Own, her and her husband. So they'd do the Pick Your Own, and they still do that on the weekends. And at festival time, all the kids, that's what we were kind of worried about too, was the festival, if we wanted to go with it. But we decided, that's what we would do. And you know, it was just tough at first, but we kind of got over it and just knew that he was looking down on us and knew what we were doing. Yeah. So that's what I said. I said, boy, your dad's really got to be proud of you.
Oh, that's so lovely. Was there ever a question in your mind? Obviously, your children immediately stepped up and wanted to help and continue the orchard, but was there ever kind of a question in your mind after his passing of whether or not you would want to continue the business?
No, there's never a question, because I knew my son, he had did a lot of work here, and I knew that this is what he wanted to do the rest of his life. Yeah. So I said, you know, there was never a question about giving it up.
Right.
We just decided this is what we wanted to do, and we were going to make it work.
Yeah. Well, it's so inspiring. It's so strong of you all to do that, and obviously it's paid off because everyone loves MacQueen so much.
Yeah, well, that's so nice.
How does MacQueen's function year-round with different weather restrictions and things like that? Can you walk our listeners through kind of the business climate of each season?
Well, you know, we have on some of the days in the winter when it's really bad out, it we have to close if it's that bad. But usually we're open 7 days a week, and we don't really worry about the weather. The only thing we worry about is the storms, the hail, and freezing, frost. That really hurts too. I mean, we can lose a year ago or so. We lost our whole crop of apples because of the frost. So, and hail. But we just hope and pray every time that the storms come that there's not going to be any hail, because the apples aren't any good after that.
Yeah. And because you have the grocery in here where people can come and kind of buy the baked goods and different apple butter and fun things like that, do you find that business kind of changes with the different seasons, or do you think it's pretty stagnant?
Oh no, it changes, I think, with your season. I mean, in the spring we have flowers that we sell also, and so that's kind of a start of getting a little bit busy. But in the winter, it's slow, it's not that busy. But we still got the same customers that we've known for years come in all the time. So it's, that's all we can do is just stay open and hope for the best.
Absolutely. And what do you find is the most sought after item in the store and the most sought after kind of apple?
Well, I think the most of what we sell is apples.
Right.
Apples and peaches. That's the most fruit we sell, and I think apple butter is really a great seller too.
Yeah.
And our cider is really a great seller. So I guess that's it.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a specific kind of apple that you find people pick more of than another?
Well, it depends what they want. Some people want a tart apple, some people want a sweet apple, but I would say maybe the Gala apple is a real good apple, and they like Macintosh for applesauce. And we have the Honeycrisp, which is really a great seller, and it's sweet and hard. It's a good apple, and people will come in just for the Honeycrisp apple. Yeah. And we have another one similar to it. It's called Evercrisp, and that's a very good apple. But I think the most we sell is probably the Gala, Jonathan, we sell Jonathan, Macintosh. We have about 15 different varieties that we sell. So, and people like the Red Delicious, but I'm not fond of the Red Delicious because they're kind of the skin is very tough on them. But otherwise, people like them because they're sweet.
Right, yeah. And I want to kind of take it all the way back to when you started seeing Robert in high school till now. What has this experience meant for you, specifically with making MacQueen such a family-rooted business?
Oh, it meant a lot. I just really like it. We'll go to different places and somebody will say, oh, there's one of the MacQueens there. And it's really funny because I don't even know the person, but they're a customer of ours. And we're so grateful for these customers because everybody has been so good. And our help tries to really be accommodating to them. So, but I think the experience of being here and carrying on is really, really great because I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
And I can't just stay home. I just like to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, I have to tell you, even I'm a little starstruck sitting across from you because my family, we've always come to this orchard, and so it's so cool to get to talk to you and kind of hear from the source all that makes MacQueen so special. And I'm also wondering what you think it would mean to Martha and Hugh to see this business continue on so successfully.
Oh yeah, they would love it. I said, in fact, my mother-in-law, when we'd be working out here, she always cooked a lunch for all of us, and it wouldn't be like just a lunch. It would be like a real meal with potatoes and chicken and this whole bit. And every noon, she always had dinner ready for my husband and I, and it was really great. And she would come out then and start grating apples and helping out too. So they I think they wanted it, was hoping it would carry on.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And what do you hope that the people who come to the orchard take away from their experience being here? Even if they're just shopping or if they're having a family day picking apples, what do you hope that they walk away feeling after coming to MacQueen's?
Yeah, well, I want them to feel happy and have the experience of going out in the orchard and picking the apples, and especially with their kids. I mean, if they go out there and they can take a bite out of an apple, that's great. And the kids love coming here, so. And you'll see them climbing the trees and so forth, and that's great. They don't have this at home, especially people in the city. They don't know what it's like until they get out to the farm and see
Right.
how it is.
Absolutely. It is definitely a different experience being here rather than just looking at pictures or, even just coming into the store. Actually going out into the farm is so unique and so fun for the
Yeah.
family. While we have you on the show, we want to give our listeners the opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. So I have a couple of fun questions to finish off the
Okay.
interview. So first, I'm curious what your personal favorite kind of apple is.
My favorite apple is, well, I got two of them. I got one is the yellow delicious, golden delicious. I like that apple. You can cook with it, you can eat. It's kind of sweet tart. And I also like the Honeycrisp. That's a great apple.
Absolutely. And what kind of music do you listen to?
I listen to country.
I love it. Do you have any specific artists that you really love?
Sure, George Strait.
Great choice.
Yeah.
What is the last book that you read or one that you're reading right now?
Book? I'll tell you, I don't get much time to read the book.
I would imagine.
I'm lucky if I get to read the newspaper. Because by the time I work and go home, and I don't do much reading at all.
Right. So how do you spend your free time then when you're not working in the orchard? I know you have minimal free time, but what
Yeah.
hobbies or interests do you have outside of work?
Don't do a whole lot. We have a pool, and I'll go swimming in the summer, and in the winter there isn't a whole lot to do. I'll go walking, but as far as activities, I really don't do a whole lot.
Do you watch any television or movies that you really like?
Yeah, I do watch television in the evening sometimes, and I'll watch America's Got Talent. I like that show, and I'll watch Hallmark shows. I like to watch those too.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the best.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what qualities you value in those that you work with professionally, and then the qualities that you look for in those that you associate with personally, like in your friends or family.
Well, I like them to be friendly and have a smile on their face, and always be sure to ask them if there's any more they can do for them, or help them if there's elderly people come in, help them with their products to take out to the car, and always offer to do something for them. And I like to have them to have a smile on their face all the time, and that should be good for customer relations, I would say.
Yeah.
So and please, thank you, and all this. So.
And if you're not eating any of the bakery items here or any of the food that you have here, where are you going to get food or bakery items in the area?
I go to Kroger's.
Yeah.
That's about it. It's close.
Do you have any restaurants or bakeries that you enjoy going to in your free time?
Well, I like to go to Blue Water. I like that. And we go to some Mexican restaurants, and there's so many of them in the area.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's about it.
And then my last question for you is, if you could give your childhood self any piece of advice or encouragement, what would you say?
I would just tell them that they need to be honest all the time, and be sure to, especially to the elderly people, see if you can help them if they need something. Always say please, thank you. Be very respectful to them, not disrespectful, and take it from there. And have a great time.
Absolutely, that's so lovely. And I'm curious, from your perspective, is there anything else that you want our listeners to know about you or about MacQueen's, about the family?
Well, all I know is that my family is really a hard-working family. I mean, they do everything, and they don't take much time off either. So it's really great. I have 10 great grandchildren, and I have 8 grandchildren, and so they're all coming up there. So we know this is going to keep going on because some of the grandchildren now are into the business, and so their children will probably start and help them. I'm sure. I don't think it's going to dwindle down because my sons keep planting more trees, and I don't see where that's going to end. They'll keep the family farm up, I'm sure.
Well, I think on behalf of all the people who love the orchard, that's really exciting news to hear,
Yeah.
that it's going to be here for years and years to come. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. It's been so nice to get to know you, and
know.
our readers certainly appreciate it. Marlene's story is truly one of perseverance and family devotion that we can all take a few notes from. We want to thank you for listening. Make sure to check out Mature Living magazine in print and online, as well as all of the publications under Adams Street Publishing, including the Toledo City Paper, Toledo Area Parent, Ann Arbor Family, Current, and Findlay Living. Find us on social media or connect with us if you have any story ideas to share.